just like, I talked to several potential clients today for us to do a 2-day blueprint build out for them. And, they ask, hey, how'd you get there? Like, it's a typical question. So I'll tell everybody. So for 25 years, I've been doing investment funding. So I've been an investment funding specialist for all you investors out there. So people would come to me and say, hey, we heard that you can get financing where other people can't get financing on investment deals. And so that's kind of where I started about 2 years into that. And I think everybody that hears this, yourself included, would probably be in the same boat as me and resonate with what I'm about to say. So I was helping all these investors. I was solving their problems with money, right? And after about 2 years, I kind of got tired of walking away from closing, making $2-3 grand. And they're like, thanks, Jason, high five. And they're walking out with 40 or 50 grand. I'm like, I did get a degree in finance and this doesn't seem very equitable. So I've made it my mission to know every program in America for the investment side, which people came to me for that and making okay money, but they're making more money. So I decided, hey, I'll start investing myself. So I started investing myself. I'm like, I got the money, so I can do this, right? And so I started investing, and I won't bore everybody, but when I first got started, I made all the mistakes that like people make. And I'll say it this way, normal people make. I mean, nobody wakes up and says, I'm an investor, right? They decide, I see other people doing it. I want to make some money in real estate. There's tax advantages. Well, I was the same. And all these investors, I see the way they're living. I'm like, okay, I have my banker hat, but come on. So I started doing those deals and I started investing myself. So I've been doing that for 23 years. I've done 3,200 investment transactions myself personally. Our 2-day blueprints are off-market blueprints that we build out for hedge funds that need hundreds of homes. Like one of my friends in particular, we put some systems in place where he did 9,000 homes in 6 years. And so we get paid to suffocate a city 30 plus ways, not the same 5 things that every guru in America talks about, right? Having said that, I started speaking for Kiyosaki, a bunch of these TV shows, and they hired me originally for my investment funding expertise. They're like, hey, we're teaching people, but nobody can get funding. So in the course of doing that, these particular companies are like, hey, we heard you're doing lots of deals. I'm like, yeah. I've been focused on that for the last few years as well. And so they said to me, they're like, but it seems like you're doing a lot of them. I go, I am. And it's back when systems and all these other things weren't cool, right? Everybody, it was just Craigslist, right? So, but I saw the value in putting some systems in place. So what happened is that I created some training, some classes, some like one of them labeled and white labeled by Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, all that stuff. It's called the Marketing Today class. Like, hey, how do we win multiple different ways instead of playing in the same sandbox, which is, like a robot, like all the other gurus teach, which I always joke about, like, hey, get a high equity list, a vacant list, code violations and postcards and letters. Let's be consistent like a robot. Well, there's other ways that we grab deals. So started teaching those classes. And then some bigger players came around and said, hey, look, we need to do 1,000 homes in 48 months. And we heard that you might be able to put systems in place to basically bleed through an entire market everywhere and help us hit our benchmarks. And for anybody that hears this, and I'll tie a bow on it by saying this, when they hire you to average 40 homes a month, the reason they do that is this: when you get hired as what they call a city operator by a hedge fund just has a bunch of money and they say, let's invest some of our money in real estate, 100 million, right? They have 2 billion and 100 million is going to be real estate holdings. They hire somebody in a city that they chose to get properties in called a city operator, and it's a good gig. So when they're done getting 1,000 homes or 2,000 homes, they get 1% of the value. So let's say, Nick, we gave you 200 million as a hedge fund and you finished getting 2,000 homes or whatever it is, but it's now worth 250 million, right? Because you got some equity in it. Well, a lot of times they get 1% of the portfolio value when they're done. That's a lot of money, right? But if they hit their number ahead of time, which is why they hire me, if they hit their number in 48 months or 60 months, 72 months, then they get 3%. Whew. That's a few $1 million. So they started hiring me And so I work with them, and I just get referred back and forth. And here's the fun part for everybody listening, where that has me landing today is that I built and sold a real estate automation software company called REI Black Book, sold that. So once I sold that, I had time on my hands again. And instead of just doing it for the hedge funds, I said, let's do a 2-day off market, what I call an off market blueprint. One of the big companies coined it the blueprint, like this is literally a blueprint to get to everything first. And so we started doing it again for individuals. And in today's world, we do it 9 or 10 times a year. We show you 30 ways we get to off-market properties, not the same 5 that all these gurus do. And they say postcards, letters, text messages, and that's all they got. We take over cities. Like there's easy deals. Anybody that hears this, I want you to know, there are easy deals out there that you could grab instantly that cost you 0 marketing dollars. It's just no one's put the daily, what I call protocol, big word, right? Daily protocol, daily, this is what I do every single time, like a machine in place to grab those deals. So once we get our hands on somebody, like I have a blueprint coming up in 2 weeks down here in St. Pete, Florida. We have 14 people coming in, a national syndicated radio show, 200 cities for real estate. They're coming in as well. And they're all there for the same thing. Show me 30 ways, not 5. Show me how to do this without a budget. So we do what most investors do. Anybody that hears this, if you know somebody doing 10 deals in your marketplace, I'm willing to bet they do some direct mail. They're doing some text messaging, but they do a lot of direct mail, and they do the same 4 or 5 things, right? Imagine a world where you can do it 30 plus ways, compete with them overnight, all the way down to doing free direct mail. It took me 11 years to figure that out. And imagine competing with the biggest players in town overnight without even needing a budget, because you can be in 30,000 mailboxes saying, hi, my name is Nick. I'd like to talk to you about buying your house no matter what it looks like. So that's kind of the evolution of where I'm at today. And so we started doing individual blueprints instead of for big companies, for individual investors 9 or 10 times a year. And it's fun for us to get our hands on. We keep it small, 5 to 15 people. And once we get our hands on them, the game's over.